This is a very hard movie for me to review. Very, very hard. I was going to drop my review last night on this movie, but instead I spent the whole night talking to a bunch of friends about the movie and kind of gathering my thoughts. So, the first thing I want to say is that I'm not going to get into spoilers in this video, okay? And I also want to say that I did watch a lot of reviews, not spoiler reviews, non spoiler ones from several different people in the Star Wars community and in the movie community before I went to go see this movie. I have been hyped up for this movie for 2 years. I thought that even though Force Awakens had, it wasn't perfect, but it was a good kind of chapter one in introducing the new characters and getting them over. I thought this would be the movie where we really sort of fleshed them out. And to a degree, they did. The reason why this review is so hard for me to write is because I feel very conflicted. Like, I don't really know what to say. And a lot of people who left the movie the first time kind of felt the same way I did. And now I kind of get it. Like, okay, I see why somebody would think that. So, without going into spoilers, the movie was directed and written by Ryan Johnson. And one of the concerns I had going into it was that Ryan Johnson is a good storyteller, and Ryan Johnson has made some great movies like Brick, and I never saw Brothers Bloom, but I did see Brick and Looper, and I thought that the series with him doing it, would be taken to new levels. And I will say this: the cinematography in the movie, the movie looked incredible. It was one of the best looking Star Wars movies, if not the best looking one we've ever seen. All of the characters from Force Awakens are back, of course. Poe, Rey, Finn, General Leia. I mean, I don't have to tell you that. Every review will throw that out there. I figure I just go right into it. The thing about this movie is that what Ryan Johnson did is he pretty much took a blowtorch to the entire Star Wars saga. And I don't mean just like the prequels and the original trilogy. I mean even Force Awakens. You could tell in this movie that the direction that Ryan Johnson had gone in with the characters was not the original intended direction set forth by The Force Awakens. You could tell, and I had an idea this was going to happen because he did an interview with Rooster Teeth recently where he talked about how, you know, they gave him full creative control. Now, for a while, what we had thought was the case was that J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy, Pablo Hidalgo, that whole Lucasfilm team sort of created the arcs. They already had the idea for the trilogy in mind, and that, each director would come in and sort of have his own vision, but not stray too far. But in the Rooster Teeth interview, he said that he had full creative control to do whatever he wanted, right? So he took this idea, this sort of the what J.J. Abrams had done in Force Awakens by introducing these characters and building up these mysteries, and with this movie, a lot of the mysteries from the Force Awakens were resolved, and I think that the mysteries that people are looking to have answers for are going to be very divisive as far as the answers you're going to get. What I mean by that is some are going to love it, some are going to hate it, and to me, I was not a fan of the direction that this movie took. And again, without going into specific spoilers, I'm going to do a separate video with the spoilers later on, but I feel like this movie, when I leave the movie theater, this is the first time, and I saw all the prequels, and I don't like the prequels. And with the prequels, I left them, and I was like, whatever. This is the first time I was actually upset. Like, I was actually very upset, and I think part of the reasons because I built it up in my mind. I had been so hyped for it, and it wasn't because of necessarily the fates of these characters, because I know some folks are going to say, well, are you a fanboy for this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy, you didn't like what they did with them? Sort of. I felt that the writing was piss poor, and at times I think a lot of film fans are kind of, and again, this is going to sound weird, but I think a lot of people are, when they left the movie theater, they were in shock, and I think a lot of them are saying that the movie was ballsy and had a lot of courage and took the series in new directions. But I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to say it actually was, in a way, kind of disrespectful. The entire meta narrative in this movie that really took me out of it, from the beginning to the end, was Disney constantly hammering home that this is our franchise now, not yours. It was them telling the audience, this is ours now, and you have to forget the past. In the trailer, Kylo Ren says, forget the past, destroy it, kill it. That's pretty much what happened in this movie. Now, I want to reiterate that I know that I am in the extreme minority here because almost everybody I've talked to has been surprised at my opinion on this movie. telling me, "Oh, you didn't like it. I don't understand. I don't understand." People just don't understand why I did not like this movie, and I'm gonna try to explain it without going into spoilers again. I love Star Wars to death, and I've been a fan since I was 6 years old and I first watched Return of the Jedi. And then I started watching the other trilogy, or the rest of the trilogy, I mean, the other films in the trilogy. And I became a hardcore fan because of the messages that were being sent. Well, the character of Luke Skywalker in this movie, I feel, goes in the opposite direction. Now, sometimes when you do that with a character, it can be pretty interesting, but I felt that the movie did a very, very aggressive job of hammering home that everything you knew about Star Wars, or what you thought coming in, was not what you thought. And the thing is, and it's hard talking about this without going into spoilers, the thing is that I felt they did it so much that it got annoying. It's almost like Ryan Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy or whatever, they spent the entire movie stroking themselves off, saying, well, I'm an indie filmmaker. This is my abstract version of Star Wars. The movie felt like a Star Wars movie as far as visuals go and sound, but it sure as hell didn't feel like it as far as pacing and tone went. Now, the way that Ryan Johnson, again, set up his shots, the way that he cut the movie was not really a horrible thing. I thought it was very well done. He's a good visual director, but the story, which is the most important thing, I thought had a lot of problems. There were things in this film that I thought were very contrived. There were abilities in the Force that we have never seen before. Some were very cool. I'm not going to get into which I liked here. Some I thought were really, really dumb and contradicted later parts of the movie. And it was almost like the movie continues to, as you watch it, hammer in your head, this is new, this is new, this is new, this is different. But it wasn't a smooth transition at all. And it wasn't, to me, my opinion, I don't think it was that great of a movie. And I'm just really surprised because I don't want to be in the minority. I don't want to be the guy who didn't like this movie because nobody was more hyped up for this movie than I was. But yet, when I see the movie, I walked out of the movie theater not giving a damn about episode 9. I don't care about episode 9, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of the storylines, almost all of them, were wrapped up in this movie. A lot of the storylines from episode 7 and even before that were wrapped up here, and they almost basically they hit the reset button with this movie. So in the next movie, episode 9, where J.J. Abrams comes back, I have no idea what direction they're going to take this film franchise now. Which, again, that can be a good thing, but also the entire, point, the entire thing, I guess, of Star Wars and the way that these movies are being presented, or they should be, is that you should walk out of the theater and you can't wait to see the next one. You can't wait to see episode 9. After this, so many loose ends were tied and so many things were kind of wrapped up. It was like if this were episode 9, if the events of this movie were episode 9 and they changed the last part of the movie, or at least threw in a different character to kind of close out the saga, I wouldn't have been so, I guess, unhappy with it. But now, there's very little for me to look forward to in episode 9. And I'm not sure if they're going to do a long time skip or not. There's also the last scene of this movie, the last shot of this movie, before they go to credits, was some of the most strangest and most awkward thing. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't see it, go see the movie. I do think you should go see the movie, but it's going to be very polarizing. But remember, I'm in the minority here. The last shot of the movie really felt like it was Disney. That was really the one where I was like, this whole movie is Disney literally telling you over and over again, this is ours. And that bugged the crap out of me. And don't even get me started on the, I guess, overly political, the overly political throat hammering that happened during the second act of the movie. I'm not going to spoil it again, but there was a part in this movie where they were just telling you all these things like, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, like we're little kids. And people have been complaining about the kidification of Star Wars since Disney took over. And Star Wars has always been meant for kids, but it's never really been this way where everything was so subtle. But I could see through it. And I just wonder why others didn't see through it. I just wonder why people had so much of an issue seeing my points. Now, I've talked to some people about it, and they kind of ended up agreeing with me afterward. Like, you know what, that makes sense. People were so hyped about this movie, they wanted to like it. Same thing with Phantom Menace. People wanted to love that movie. People walked out of the movie loving it, and then a few years later, they were like, it wasn't that good. I think with this movie, because Rian Johnson has so many twists and turns in the movie, there are so many twists, so many turns, there are so many shocking moments that by the time you watch it in 2 or 3 years, what are those moments going to even mean? See what I'm saying? One of them I thought was very meaningful. One of them I thought was very, people said very ballsy. Some of the other ones I thought were just thrown in there because they wanted to make it a thrilling Star Wars movie upon first viewing. But what about multiple viewings? It's hard to make a movie like this. Now, as far as the acting goes, the only thing that was a little whatever to me was the writing of Kelly Marie Tran's character. I thought she was kind of annoying in the movie. I love Kelly Marie Tran. She's been so awesome in social media and seeing her videos. She was a very uninteresting character. I thought that Benicio del Toro's character left a lot to be desired. And I thought that some of the writing of the villains was, without going into spoilers, people who you thought were these extremely powerful, tough guys and, or tough girls maybe, these really big, intimidating characters wound up being cucked in this movie. And you can do this, there's a way to do this where it actually can be done right. But to me, it was almost like a waste of time. Like, this film sort of made me think that a lot of Force Awakens was a waste of time. And people hate Force Awakens and some love it. I loved Force Awakens. I really did. And I'm not one of those guys that wanted this trilogy to be all about nostalgia, right? I wanted it to be exploring new grounds. And this movie did do that. But I thought that it went too far. That's my opinion. I'm in the minority. I know that. This movie, in my opinion, went too far. I think you should check out the movie. I think that if you really think about it, when you're watching the movie and see what they're trying to tell you, it may or may not bug you. You might not care. But I thought it was overall disappointing, and as of right now, I have no urge to even cover or speculate any of this stuff. Like Dash Star, who's a very good friend of mine, pretty much quit his YouTube channel. Now, I'm not saying he's gone forever, but he's going to stop doing Star Wars videos because this movie broke him. And he realized kind of the direction they were going in, the pandering, and it just kind of broke him, which was, by the way, very shocking that he did that. But I can't even blame him because there's just nothing to look forward to now. And this movie, the fact that people are praising it and I'm not a party pooper. I'm just going to chill out and let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. Hey, if you like this, that's cool. If you don't like this, that's cool too. You deserve to enjoy a good Star Wars movie. I didn't enjoy it. And I'm going to talk about why in the next few days when I do my spoiler review. I'll tell you what I really didn't like because I'm sure some people are curious about it. But I'm just letting you know right now, it has nothing to do with me being a fanboy or any of that stuff at all. There are decisions that were made in this movie that made no sense. There were things done that I thought was very like, I'm in control of Star Wars. It was very fan fiction-y, I thought. It tried too hard to be funny, and it tried too hard to send a message to its audience that I thought was, to be honest, disrespectful. I really think so. I think that was a disrespectful message they sent, which, we'll talk about that more in the spoiler review. I don't want to talk too much, but I am going to go see it again because I want to make sure that this is not just me, every movie deserves a second viewing. Right? And maybe I'll like it more, maybe I'll like it less, but I can tell you that when I went home, I slept a little bit and I thought about it, talked to my friends, and I really started to dislike the movie more and more. I don't want to be that guy. I really do not want to be that dude that's like that, but I'm not going to bullshit you. That's how I felt. So anyways, I don't even know what to say anymore. I'll talk to y'all later.